The final stage of Il Giro d'Abruzzo, a rolling stage, the longest of the entire race at 167 kilometres from Coropoli to Isola del Gran Sasso. Up and down all day, barely a metre of flat road, but possibly a stage for a bunch sprint and an opportunity for the man in the maglia ciclamino, Filippo Fiorelli, finally to claim a victory on Italian soil. Intermarché's leader, Georg Zimmermann, having taken the leader's jersey, would come under pressure from a potential host of different teams looking to exert pressure on Georg Zimmermann and Intermarché. The general classification, like all classifications in the Giro d'Abruzzo going into the final stage, still up for grabs. Early attacks then coming from Israel Premier Tech and Polti Visit Malta. And it would take the best part of an hour before the breakaway of the day got away. Before that though, Filippo Fiorelli won the only intermediate sprint of the day ahead of Alessandro Covi and Marco Brenner to improve his general classification standing by 3 seconds and also to put a margin between him and Covi in the points competition. And then an 8-rider group got away. 2 teams chasing, JCL team Ucchio and Intermarché Wanty, trying to control George Bennett, who was up the road. The king of the mountains as well, Federico Guzzo, in the move. They came over the finishing line for the first time and out onto a 60-kilometre circuit over the cobbles with the Gran Sasso mountain behind. Federico Guzzo already secure in the King of the Mountains competition, having claimed the first climb of the day. The chase then kept the race very tight, and JCL team Ucchio launched one of their GC riders, Simone Braccani, off in pursuit of the front of the race, where the riders were beginning to attack one another. Braccani then, despite trying for 10 or 15 minutes to get across, eventually got called back into the peloton, where Marco Brenner and the rest of the big favourites were watching and waiting to see whether the race would come back together again. The pressure was on all the while, and Julius Johannesson with Pablo Torres launched a sudden 2-up attack. George Bennett was trying to keep the momentum going at the front of the race, as Joel Sutter and 1 or 2 others fell away under pressure from the Dutchman from Q36.5, Sjoerd Baks. Federico Guzzo, having secured the mountains jersey, then dropped back to the bunch. Sjoerd Baks was called back in as Marcin Martelusi got airborne just over a bit of loose tarmac at the front of the race as they clung on to a 40-second advantage. It was then that the Dutchman Sjoerd Baks attacked, followed shortly afterwards by Ivo Oliveira, the winner of Stage 2. UAE Team Emirates Portuguese star getting up and working with Sjoerd Baks. VF Group Bardiani then, suddenly realising they had to shut the gap to give Filippo Fiorelli a chance of the stage victory, started to work on the front of the bunch. Inside 10 kilometres to go, it was a stubborn and difficult gap to close. Marcin Martelusi played his part. With 5 kilometres to go though, Sjoerd Baks and Ivo Oliveira still had an opportunity of seeing this one out. One after one from the front of the bunch, riders attacked and teams tried to get themselves organised to get control over Sjoerd Baks and Ivo Oliveira. And heading into the final kilometre then, on the last difficulty, they still had an advantage of 20 seconds. One after the other from behind, the riders' attacks. Filippo Fiorelli trying to follow the wheels and trying to look for an opportunity to sprint to victory, but it was Ivo Oliveira who, in the last 100 metres or so, sprinted clear of his former teammate Sjoerd Baks to take win number 2 for him at this race and win number 3 for UAE Team Emirates. Behind though, Filippo Fiorelli was involved in a battle that he lost for the final place on the podium, picking up further points though to secure the maglia ciclamino, but Ivo Oliveira, the undisputed winner of the final stage of the Giro d'Abruzzo, ahead of Sjoerd Baks and Giovanni Bortoluzzi with a fantastic 3rd place. Georg Zimmermann then, under pressure all day, managed to hang on to his 11-second lead over David de la Cruz and Pablo Torres in the general classification, and Filippo Fiorelli, the winner of the points classification despite failing to win a stage, much to his frustration. The King of the Mountains, for a second successive day and a final day, Federico Guzzo, winning by 12 points ahead of Samuele Zoccarato. And the white jersey, and 3rd place on the podium in the general classification, going to UAE Team Emirates young star Pablo Torres, just 19 years of age.